For those of you joining us online, that just joined in, if you have questions, unmute yourself and ask. This is definitely a Q&A kind of class. I don't need to do all the driving. But you're going to want to jump into your one login and go to Zone. From Zone, on the left, you'll click on Skyslope, and that will connect your Skyslope for the first time. Or if it's been a couple months and you haven't been into Skyslope, you'll need to go in through Zone to connect them. Skyslope, otherwise, it loses that connection and you cannot log in directly to Skyslope.
Good morning, Carlin. I have a question.
Sure.
I used Skyslope this morning. I had originally uploaded the original purchase agreement with the new build, and then I went in this morning and did the revised version and uploaded that. Do I need to keep both of those uploaded, the original and the revised?
It doesn't hurt. Like, think of Skyslope as your filing cabinet to store documents.
Okay.
So I like having a history of contracts so that we can see the chain. And so, like, did you just upload it on top of the other one?
I did two separate. So the original upload was there. I let it stay there, and then I just uploaded it as a revised edition.
What's the address?
402 Aylor Way. That's AYLOR.
Got it. Yeah, so you uploaded here. This is the most recent one?
That's the original.
That's
so
the original. Okay.
Yeah. So is there two separate pages for it? Because if you go to documents, that's where I went. I didn't go to the checklist.
Gotcha.
And then I updated everything.
Yeah. So what you would do is you could select this and assign it. And then you're going to assign it to the contract and it'll override the other one, but it'll keep both of them.
I see. Okay. And then I contacted Tracy for the closing DA for next week.
Okay. Yeah. And just so you know, this contract isn't done. It's not actually the right contract, even though you've done two. I can tell you how and why.
Okay.
Well, I say that. Let me look at this one. Hold on. Maybe this one's fixed. No. See how it says in process?
Mm-hmm.
That means not everyone has signed off. Well, yeah, so the buyer has signed. Oh, the sales rep signed. I wonder if it's showing in process because it wants another signature there. Anyways, it's fine. But usually when it shows in process like that, it's because it's like someone's still needing to sign it.
I see.
But it'll work. Like the builder contracts, it's very rare we actually get an executed contract. I'm not too worried about that.
Okay, thank you.
But yep. All right.
What's the recommended access point?
So you need to go into your one login and then go into Zone. One login and then Zone for the first time if you haven't been in Skyslope in a while.
Okay.
And then from Zone, click on Skyslope over on the left. And that'll open up your Skyslope. And for those of you online, I don't have anyone watching chat. So if you guys have questions, just unmute, please, and ask.
I named it that. Okay. I haven't. How are you doing?
I'm good. My allergies are killing me. I even took,
super high.
it's terrible. I took medicine this morning and I'm still like, sound horrible.
The allergy pill and the Flonase, because
Yeah.
I don't combine it.
Yeah, no, it's
I'm a
really
mess.
bad today. I'm over it. So over it. Hi. I've got guys who've just joined us in person and they're getting logged in for those of you online. So we'll give them a minute.
Carlin,
Yes.
I am having problems. I don't think I have.
Zone. You may not. So once you sign your paperwork with us, it takes up to 48 hours to get corporate to send you your one login and zone. So you may not be set up yet. You may just have to watch this. This is being recorded. And honestly, it's not going to make a whole lot of sense to you guys until you actually have a transaction to go do in here. So you just do your best, and then you can watch the recording later when you do have a transaction. It'll make so much more sense when you're actually doing it. But you guys, if you can get into one login and or get into Skyslope, then you can do a dummy or something right now.
Do a W.
A dummy, like a
dummy,
dummy
okay.
transaction.
So I'm in one zone.
On the left,
Skyslope, there it is. Yeah, what stumbled me, I'm still in dot loop, because what stumbled me is I couldn't find something, and actually, I don't think it was there at the time. So each time that I do have something, and I try to go to Skyslope, anyways, that's why I'm here.
okay,
That's why I'm here.
all right.
Hey, Carlin, will you, in the binder, it says for the listing agreements that we do that in Skyslope. Will you kind of go over
Yep.
that? for me?
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna start with the forms first
Okay,
and getting signatures on forms, and then we'll go into the actual submitting for DAs and compliance piece. So we'll
Okay.
do it in 2 steps. All right. We ready? Almost everybody in here? Almost.
What was the why for moving from here, from dot slope, back to here?
Compliance on dot loop is awful. Like from a
Compliance.
corporate big picture side, dot loop is terrible. And dot loop kept telling corporate, oh, we're gonna fix it, we're gonna fix it, and they never fixed it. So we,
And that's a showstopper.
yes. This is actually so much easier than dot loop if you just give it a chance.
Look at you, 105 pending, 69.
No, this
active.
is the company.
Okay.
I'm seeing I'm not doing deals. I don't have 105 transactions. I would not be here helping you if I was working 105 transactions. So
But still, that's great. Schedule closing this month, 40.
our numbers are way down, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna look at them. We should be closing 100 a month as a
100 month
company. We're way down, but that's okay. That's just
in this market.
it. The market's down, and then this time of year, it's normally slow. January, February, are the 2 slowest months of the year. So
Why is that?
we're in a very seasonal area where most buyers and sellers will move between March and July and get into their homes. And then we have that second we call it a second summer, November for closings in December. Like a lot of relocation and stuff will happen to close by the end of the year, or investors to buy, that kind of thing, by the end of the year. So then it stops January, February, and then March sellers start thinking about selling for the spring and summer, and everybody wants to make their move before school starts. So then September and October are the next 2 slowest months of the year after that. Very seasonal. For the last 2 years, we weren't seasonal at all, just because it was just like buy forever, right? But now we're going back to the normal seasonality. All right, let's jump in. So again, your Skyslope's going to look a little different than mine because I have the brokerage level and I can see both offices. And right now I think I'm only seeing one of the offices, or maybe I see both on my numbers. I don't remember, but anyways, but where you do things and everything, how we do things, it's all going to be the same place. So in the top right corner, you have these little squares, the little icon. You're going to click on that.
It's a waffle.
Waffle. Thank you. There you go. I'm not your tech support. I shouldn't teach this class.
Oh, it looks like a waffle.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just click on the waffle. You have forms, DigiSign, and Breeze. Your forms are where you need to go write that listing agreement to get signatures, or fill out a buyer's rep or whatever, right? But let's say you already have the form and you just needed signatures, then you could cut the form piece out and just go to DigiSign to sign. DigiSign is used like DocuSign. We'll go into that in a minute, but let's pretend we need to do a form. So we're going to click on forms and we're going to create a new file. And for now, go ahead and select buyer. And just call it John Doe for name. And it's gonna say, is there a property yet? We're gonna ignore that. We don't have, because with buyers, you're not gonna have properties usually up front. And we'll name it by the primary client. Actually, I lied. Don't name it John Doe. Name it blank blank.
Okay.
Because it's nice to have a template you can just jump into if you ever need to print like a lease app or something like that. So we'll call it
We
blank
don't
blank.
have to check off on the client, that little box up there.
Client
Nope,
company,
nope, nope.
trust or other-
Yeah, that would be, yeah, like if it was an LLC buying instead of an actual name. So it changes the fields is what that does. So there's no property. We've named it blank blank after the client. Then you can scroll down. And
The file name, do we type blank blank or does it just?
so if you say, how would you like to name it? Click on primary client and then it should
Okay.
name it blank blank.
Okay, gotcha.
So then under templates, I can see templates that you guys hopefully don't see, who knows? Hopefully you see the ROG buyer template. Does everybody see that? Okay,
Road cross for buyer attention.
so go ahead and click on that and hit create. If you don't, let me know. We're not going to spend time troubleshooting that at the moment.
Oh, wait, the buyer
RG.
template, yeah.
Yep.
Cross for
You should.
buyer.
Yeah, I have it.
Okay, okay. So you're going to click that and select it and boom, there it goes. And
Sorry, if you said we didn't have a ROG prosper.
you don't have it at the very bottom?
You have to do that. It can go in the doc.
Hopefully this is gonna save me time, because right now I do everything on Dotloop, as far
Okay.
as getting signatures. And then I have to download and upload.
Yeah. There's ways of getting things into Skyslope that's easier than downloading and uploading too, that I'll show you. But I think this is much
There's other
easier.
Documents, so like the tar lease agreement, that's something you often have to go get.
No. So I need you all to hang in there with me. Let me get through some trainings and then we can, yep, because otherwise, okay, good. Yeah, as long as they're associating you with a brokerage, all the templates should be there. Now, because we named this blank blank, we may want to keep additional documents because I said it was a buyer, it pulled in the buyer docs, right? But we may want to keep other docs in here just to have for reference. So let's say we want a lease app or we want a listing agreement or other things in here. Lease apps are common that you have to go grab. So go ahead and click add form. And
The
then,
buyer,
huh?
oh, it just pulled those up. Okay, gotcha. I envisioned we were adding it in the buyer realm.
Yep. Okay, I am gonna ignore. Otherwise, we're not gonna get through this today, Carrie. You're not gonna take offense to that. Okay, so I just searched the word lease and I'm gonna scroll down until I find my lease application, my residential lease application. And I'm gonna hit add. And then we'll say it's added, we'll hit next. And now it's in my blank transaction.
And it starts with a RES, residential.
I did the word lease. You want to search by the least common used word, if that makes sense. Like what if I go find a septic disclosure, I know it's not called septic, it's sewage. So I'll use the word sewage. I don't want to use disclosure because there's a million disclosures I got to go look through. Does that make sense?
Yes, but then when you select it, there's a lot of them. There's 3 or 4 residential lease.
Application.
3 of them. There's 3 of them.
So I picked the TXR lease app
Okay,
and then they're numbered in case you had additional applicants.
2003. Yeah, there's one that says agent. There's 2003 TXR
So,
and then the numbers. Okay.
so just grab the normal lease app and add it. And then now it's here in your documents. Oops, I'm getting click happy. Go back.
When I went to add forms.
Uh-huh.
Nothing's coming up at all.
So your profile is probably not connected to giving you the rights to your forms. So if you're not seeing your forms, go up under your name and go to the associations and see if you can go turn on and say you're with ABOR. It'll ask you for numbers. It may need your license. If it's the first time in, that may be the case. Is anyone online having that issue?
I am,
Okay, all right, so yeah.
but I was able to get it done.
Okay, good.
I am
Yep, so you've got to say, here's where I pay to get access to these forms, and it's gonna be your ABOR membership.
Do you do that on the original where that waffle was, but under your name,
Over here in the top right corner under your name should be associations, or under your user profile. Mine may look a little different.
Okay, mine didn't even let me get that far.
So are you in?
I went to like the little waffle, and then I said forms, and then it just takes me to like a normal kind of login page.
So you're not connected. So log out of Skyslope
Okay,
completely and go back over to Zone. Did you connect to Skyslope through Zone?
I did.
Okay, so when you log back into Skyslope, is your name in the top right corner?
It is.
So let's go in there and then go to associations.
So there's a waffle, there's an app thing, and then my name is there, but now my name is not there anymore.
Yeah, it sounds like it's not connecting for some
But it's
reason.
not anymore.
Maybe try logging out of one login, log back in, go to Zone, go to Skyslope again. If it still happens, you're gonna have to email the help desk at
Okay.
realtyonegroup.com
Okay.
and tell them your Skyslope's not activated for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Follow along.
so under association, I want to make sure you guys get all of them in here. You want to make sure you have the Austin Board of Realtors and TREC and TAR, Texas Realtors. So make sure you have all three in there. If you belong to other MLSs who have cool forms that you want access to, you can add them here as well. Like San Antonio has the bad tree, what's the words? My brain is fried. Oak wilt disclosure. So if you wanted the oak wilt disclosure and you belong to that board, then you could go get it and you'd add it here. Yep, the Austin Board of Realtors, TREC, and Texas Realtors. So once those are in there, you should be good to go. Then you'll go back to our blank. If everyone goes back to blank, that can. For those of you that can't right now, you're just gonna have to watch and then we'll mess with it later. Let's say we are writing an offer. And for those of you that mentioned like a listing agreement, it'd be the same kind of thing, but you do a listing agreement. I will then go click on the 1 to 4 family contract. Because it thinks my buyer's name is blank, it automatically put blank in there for the first name and last name. So we're just gonna ignore that. What, Carrie?
I saw that the contract's been updated. And does that automatically flow into our templates?
Nope,
Okay.
nope, it won't.
That was a good question. though.
It is a good question. Yeah, I'm gonna have to have our templates get updated.
Okay.
Let me email myself a reminder on that one.
Okay. ROG update.
So for right now, we're gonna pretend it doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay.
But templates. But yes, I will make sure our contracts get updated. Okay. You could let's just for fun, go change it. So what I could do is select the 1 to 4 family and in the 3 little,
Kebab.
yep, delete it. And then I can go add it and go get the new one. Now that won't be in my template, right? It's going to be on this blank file. If that makes sense.
So do we delete it? Do we go to 1 to 4 family and delete?
Well, so for right now, you can just grab one and use it. We still can use the current contracts until February. So we got a couple more weeks. You will, if it's in a template, like if you have zip forms or dot loop templates, you're gonna have to replace it in that template. I will replace our template in Skyslope before February 1st. So it's up to you if you want to like replace it and go get the new one, whatever you want to do. That's what I just did. I deleted, uploaded the new one, and now it's the new one. So now this is where you would. Ugh. Chad's trying to call. Sorry, Chad, can't talk. Now we have a contract and you're going to fill it out just like a normal offer, right? You plug it all in, do whatever. If I had given blank blank an email address, then it will know how to email this to blank blank for signatures. I didn't give it an email, so it's going to prompt me in a minute. But at this point, now that I've messed with it, I've got a couple options. I can create my own template. So you guys have the Prosper template to work off of, but you could create your own and keep your own templates in there to use, right? So I would do that if I were you. Like if I'm a listing agent, I'm going to do 20 listings this year. I'll go create a listing agreement template, fill out all my information on that form, and then that way I don't have to re-enter it every single time. So that's where I would do it here is I would fill it out, then save as a template, and now it's in my own personal templates, right?
You can always go get another blank one.
You can always go get another one. Yep. I can then download this and email it as a PDF. Let's say my client wants to print it out and sign it in ink. I can download and send it off. I can print it because we're going to sign the IABS in person or the buyer rep in person, right? Or I can say prepare for signature. And this takes what I've just filled out and now is going to email it to blank blank for signature. So now it pops up and says, hey, we need that email for blank blank. And I'm going to say it's blank@blank.com. And I'm going to say he needs to sign. Then I'm going to hit next. Because I assigned the buyer role to blank blank, it automatically has all the initials and signatures for blank blank to sign. Let me. There's my toggle. Where'd it go? So it automatically, if you see here, put the initials for BB right there at the buyer's side. Make sense? If I needed to add somebody or change something, I can go back. I can always add. Oh, because I only have one. It's right there. So I can always exit this and go back and add the second buyer or fix something on the contract and then resend. If I hit send right now, it's now going to email that email address I just made up and obviously not going to work. But that's how we send off for signatures. Really simple, right? Everybody with me on this? Okay. Let's go back.
Okay, so there was no creation or put a box for a signature like in.
Because it's a template, it knows where to put things. But if I had to upload, let's say I uploaded our buyer rep, that's not a template form, then I would have to go put the signature. But the great thing, let me jump in there real quick and show you.
We'll know more once we're doing it.
Well, here's the good thing about it. Like, let's say I needed an initial on this form. I click initial and then I click where it goes. I don't have to click and drag.
Okay.
I can also, if I had multiple people on here, I can flip back and forth and say it's buyer one or buyer two instead of having to go up and back and up and back and up and back.
Okay.
I think it's a lot easier.
So then you have, I'm sorry, I keep asking, but it does relate. So there's contacts, there's different contacts you can add.
So yeah. So if you go back, you can add a second buyer, you know, or you can add, let me go back in and look repeat. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get an email of it once they sign it. Oh, I gotta.
And then on each individual, like if you wanted to send a whole packet, you just add that form to that packet. You don't
To
have
an
send it.
envelope,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, so sending an envelope is so like it. So let's say I did my 1 to 4. Now I'm gonna go put in whatever I need for the third party and whatever else I need. I then can select what I'm sending and fill and send it off and get them all signed at once.
I think there might be another way to do it unless I just did it. I don't know. So like whenever you click on the form itself, and then it'll have like a little highlighted tab right here.
Oh, yeah, to add additional.
That's how I did it.
Yeah, yep,
But
yeah,
it's the
there's,
same way, right?
yeah, it's the same exact
Okay.
thing.
So whenever you click on the form, like say you're in this and you want to add forms. so
You can
go-
just add the additional forms there
It's the
instead of
same
going
way,
back
so
to
it's a
this
different way to do it.
mod.
That's how I
platform.
did it, so.
So,
Carolyn, if we were sending a lease form for them to fill out, it'll automatically let them fill it out. not
So-
just signature.
Non-application.
so on the application, what you'll have to do is if you prepare for signatures and say blank blank needs to sign,
That's where I had an issue. I tried to send one and it would not. It let them fill it out.
oh, it should,
And I
as
added
long,
all the fields and everything, because it made me go through and add all the like type fields.
was it blue like this? As long as it's blue like this, then blank blank is supposed to fill those out.
I had to go like create each individual, so maybe, I don't know.
Well, and
It
not like there was
shouldn't
fill
have
and sign versus just sign.
sign. Yeah, I don't know. So as long as you're seeing it like this, these are the fillable fields that blank blank's gonna sign. If they're not blue, then it won't work. So you've got to make sure you're sending the fillable one, if that makes sense. Any questions on filling out forms online, guys? Unmute, ask questions. I'm going to jump to another task in a second. Okay. So now let's say I have somebody sign something. Let's see if I have something signed.
I have a question, Carlin.
Uh-huh.
So when you fill out the form and do it for signatures, does it automatically create the envelope?
Yeah, the minute you send it, it's in an envelope. That's what these are right here. So I
Okay.
have one envelope where Morgan signed it, and I have two where we canceled for whatever reason, and then I've got a draft that I never did anything with. So my completed one is in here,
Okay, cool. Thanks.
and I can see it. You know, I can download it, I can print it, whatever I need to do. So let's say you got your IABS and your buyer rep signed over, oops, I did not mean to close out a Skyslope. Hold on. Gosh darn. Okay, let's say I got my buyer rep and my IABS signed over in the form side. Now I want to create a transaction because we're under contract on a new build. If it's a, let me back up. If you have a listing, you have to add it as a listing. You will then say it's under contract, create a listing. We approve listings first. Then once it's under contract, let me go grab one. I'm just going to grab one. So once you're under contract, so basically think of it this way. This is a lease listing, which is a bad example, but that's okay. When you have a listing, we want to review that paperwork. So you're going to create a listing, put it in here, send it to us. We approve it, which is this green completed. Then you get this gold accepted contract button. You will then have to say accepted contract once it goes under contract later. And then you're giving me the under contract paperwork, which is a whole nother set of paperwork. Does that make sense? It's a two-step process for listings. Right now, we're going to talk about a buyer. A buyer is going to be a transaction. So you're going to create a transaction for a buyer. The forms are over. Okay, so the forms are over in your Skyslope forms, and it's going to say, hey, here are some forms. Do you want to create this transaction for what you just got signed? And I'd be like, oh yeah, there's my blank book. That's what I just got signed. I'm going to select it, and it's going to pull everything over. Does that make sense? You're lost. Where
I
are
just
you?
got lost getting to this page.
So create a transaction. Mine's a little different, but you should have,
Manage listings.
nope, transaction.
So you put-
So you should have a
Manage
create
transactions.
a transaction button.
Manage transactions. Got it. Thank you. Sorry.
Yep. So then it went, oh, you have forms. Do you want to pull from forms?
Yep.
Or if not, then you can continue without a form, or you could go get an address. Like if it was a listing, you could go put in the address. Or, I mean, if you're putting it in here, you have a buyer who's buying a home, so you're going to put in the address anyways. If it doesn't find the address, that's okay. I'm going to say, yep, it's my blank blank. Let's just grab it. It's asking me what agent, only because I'm the broker. It won't ask you what agent. You're the only agent who can do it. Now, here's the thing about Skyslope. Skyslope tracks a ton of fields that we as the brokers don't care about. The Skyslope just tracks, well, it tracks all this stuff because some brokerages that use Skyslope want to track all those fields, right? So most of them we don't care about. We're going to be like NA or zeros, you know, it doesn't matter. If you have the MLS number, that makes it easier, but you don't have to. Let's just say I'm selling 12 Branch Road 42, whatever. If you put in the address up front, then it's going to default all this and you wouldn't have to do all that. But the things I do care about is who do you represent? It's a buyer. The year built, I definitely don't care about. The sales price, I do. The thing to keep in mind on a listing, you're going to enter a sales price. And then once you go under contract, you need to change that sales price to the contract sales price. Yeah, whatever you're closing it at. Now, the source here, I'd like for you guys to use the right source, but that's not where I'm looking to know if it's a gold lead or an op city lead or something like
Yeah,
that.
that was my question.
Yep.
When I first.
Yep. Same thing with office lead. Like I'm not looking there for an office lead. The acceptance date is the date you executed your contract. And then the closing date's whenever it's going to close. Everybody with me on that so far? Oh, checklist. Checklist is important. So because we're a buyer, open. Why does it not want to open? Oh my gosh, what did I do? Oh, office. That's why. You guys don't have that option either. Buyer. We're in it next. And then it's going to say, tell me about all the people involved in the deal. And you're going to say seller, whoever the seller is, Fred, France, whatever. Purchases blank blank. We already have that. Oh, blank. They want a phone number for blank blank. I do want a phone number in here for your client. Just because the first place I'm going to go if I get, you know, let's say title company calls me and says, I can't get a hold of your agent. I have questions about this and I don't have the client. I don't have the buyer or seller's contact info. I'm going to go here first to look for a phone number to call your client. So make sure I have a phone number for your client. Closing off, closing people. This is one that I'm not going to pay attention to. I'm going to go look at the contract, but you can use it as a Rolodex type and actually put the phone numbers and everything in here, or you can just say NA. It does want an email, so you have to say na@na.com. Otherwise, it won't know. Oh, I did do a phone number. Maybe it doesn't like my zeros. It did. Okay. And then it wants the other agent. Again, I'm not. I will go look at your contract. But my one hard rule is whoever your client is, I do want that on there. So once those are all in there, you're gonna hit submit. And because I said for the checklist that it was a buyer, it's going to default and pull up the buyer's checklist in a second. But the first step I have to do is tell it the commission. What is my commission that I'm making on this? I'm going to say it's 3%. And because I put in the contract price, it's going to calculate my commission over here. Before I go to the next page, I want to show you something. Down here in the comments is where you would say Gold Lead or Op City, or I am paying for home warranty of $500. anything that's going to affect the final numbers for the DA, I need to know on this page. I am not ever going to, well, let me finish this and then I'll come back to that. So open escrow means like if it was connected to the title company live, then I could go open, but we are not connected to a title company, so just hit submit. And now your checklist is going to pop up of what's required. Let me finish my whole commission part. We review paperwork on this page and approve it in a different step than creating the DA. So when we go to do DAs, we're just going to look at this commission tab. So the information on this tab needs to be accurate. What happens a lot is you put in 360, you later negotiate to 355 because of whatever, something wrong with house, right? You've put in an amendment for 355, but you didn't change it here. Tracy's creating DAs on what's here. This needs to be changed the minute your contract changes. The price, commission, payout, like now let's say you're having a rebate. You'll put the rebate in the comments. Or now you owe a referral fee that you forgot about originally, put it in the comments. But the sales price needs to be right. The commission price needs to be right. Your close date too. We are working and doing DAs based on the closing date that's up here. If it pushes, change it in here for me, okay? This is what we're working on. You will not get a DA though, unless it's a transaction and we have paperwork. If it, again, I'll have other issues. I'll have listings. Agents are like, oh, I put my contract in my listing in Skyslope. We're not looking at listings. You have to click the accepted contract to create the transaction listing under contract. And now it's a transaction. Does that make sense? It's two different steps. So now I have my checklist of what's required to put in here. That doesn't mean the third party isn't required. If there's a third party, it's required. We're just saying it's if applicable, if applicable, because it may or may not be part of the contract, right? Amendments, if you have amendments, they are required. It just doesn't say required, but I gotta have them, right? Legally, as your broker, I have to have all of the contract documents. Everybody get that? So I need to have them in here. Once Tracy creates your DA, a copy of the DA will always be here. Once you've closed on the home, we need to have this final CD uploaded within 48 hours of the closing from you in here, and then that'll help us close out the file. Does that make sense? Now, let's say you created your docs in Dotloop or somewhere else, or let's say you had a listing and the agent emailed you the docs. You can email this email address and all your docs will go right here in this document tab, and then I can just assign them. Does that make sense?
So does the email for each individual transaction?
Every transaction gets its own email address. If you start having issues on the transaction, I would automatically CC that email address for everything so that there's a record of every email for the transaction in here.
And whose email is that?
It's
Like a
just a
file.
generic files for Skyslope. So it puts all the documents in here.
So like a scan and email type feature, like it scans your email.
Here, let me. Road. What did I?
Carly, can I ask a question about commission?
Yep.
So my new build, there's a sales price, but then commission is based on the base price. So in the comments, that's where I put that commission would be based on the base price, but I put the actual price and sales price. Is that correct? Or
Nope. So I am going to have you change the sales price here to the one they're paying out so that your commission number is accurate here.
okay,
And then you can put a note like, builder paying on base or something like that. But that's where it's going to go. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yep, thanks.
We want those numbers to match your DA is what we need. On the checklist, real quick, if something doesn't apply, let's say on here I have seller's disclosure. Let's say it's an estate sale not required. You could say estate sale NA and hit save. And then that will tell us and we can override this requirement. Okay. Or let's say it's third party's not required. Let's say for some No, I'm not even gonna say that. Never mind. Okay, so let's say I just, or no, let's say I just emailed documents to this file. Now the documents are here. So I'm gonna say, oh, there's my IABS. I'm gonna click on it and assign it. And I'm gonna say it's the IABS. And now it's there. And then let's say this was my contract. Click on it, assign it, and say it's my contract. But let's say on this one, it had the contract, it had a bunch of other documents in there. So the first thing I want to do is split it up and assign it to the different fields, right? Like, let's say it's one file with all my contracts. Of course, what I just selected, oh no, it's 25 pages.
That's general information.
So yeah, so let's say this was IBS. Then page 2 through 6 was my 1 to 4. So then I would assign that. Oh, it didn't assign IABS because I have to type out information. And then, oh, when I typed it or when I selected it. So then now page 6, let's say it's my third party. You get the idea. And then you can hit split and assign and it puts it all in the right places. Does that make sense?
Page numbers right.
You got to know the page numbers, yep. Let's see, what else do I want to make sure you guys.
But
know
they're
on this
already
one?
split on this page.
Well, no, so if I email myself one file here, I have to assign it for here. And so that's where I'm splitting and it assigns it here. If I just sent like only my contract, then I could click on it and just say assign and make it my contract. Does that make sense?
I have a question on the, I know for like contracts, if it's a new build and they have a different contract, do we use that email to?
Send it in. Yep. Or you can just say attach and go grab it off your computer. Tracy's gonna be looking at all those documents going, what the heck?
That's only if you're using dot loop or something, right?
Yeah, but like, let's say your client's not the last to sign off on initials, the other agent signed off on initials, now that executed contract's its own file. So you can either email it in here or you can upload it.
Okay.
Any other questions on this stuff right here?
I'm just watching you because I couldn't keep up.
Are you- So you're saying that if I do a contract in transactions desk and then I download it and email it from transaction desk to that email address you provided, then you take those and you do what you just did, assign them. So what then do we fill out when you've already uploaded all these documents?
Let me break down your question and maybe I'll answer it. I'm not exactly sure I'm following it. So let's say you did this in transaction desk or dot loop or zip form somewhere else. You would first have to go in and create the transaction and fill out all those fields in the beginning. It would then pop up this checklist and there would be nothing in here because you didn't do it in Skyslope. So then your options are to email the email address that was created and get the files over here under documents. Or they'd come in here if you email them, or you'd go to the checklist itself and attach and assign them individually. We
Okay.
won't see them until they're over here. So just because you threw a document over here, like you can store every document in the world over here, like all those emails I talked about. You know, if you're in trouble and you're getting stressed out and people are getting hot and ugly, start emailing this email, CC this email on all the emails back and forth correspondence. So you have a record of all those emails, they'll all go right here. I am not going to, for compliance, Tracy won't for compliance see them until you've moved them over and assigned them over here. We have to have them here in order to review and approve, in order to give you a DA. We want them in here 2 weeks prior to closing. There will be a late fee. We'll warn you a couple times before there's a late fee. But if you're constantly like, oh my gosh, my closing's tomorrow, I just put it into Skyslope. If you do that a couple times, we're gonna start charging you a late fee. So we need it 2 weeks prior to closing, unless it's a cash quick close. Then you'll just email Tracy and be like, hey, I just did one in Skyslope, it's cash quick close, sorry. She gets that, she'll do that, not a problem. But if you're just a chronic wait till the last minute person, where you got to fix that. And our late fee gets pricey because I'd rather you hire a TC who's going to just go do this for you than you keep waiting till the last minute on this. Questions? Yeah, so you can hire people like, yeah, transaction coordinator. So Megan Miller, you can pay her $50 just to put your stuff in Skyslope if you wanted to do that. But for those of you that are brand new, I really recommend you just learn how to do it all in Skyslope. It's much easier.
If we get good at it, can we hire ourselves out as a TC?
That's a different discussion for a different day.
So that was my next quick question. For those of us that are brand new, would there be any reason for us to use some other program or entity, or should we just really focus on using this?
I would go all in on this.
Okay.
It really is simple if you guys
It
force
appears to
yourself
be.
to try it. It really, really is.
Okay.
I'm gonna go cancel this transaction because I don't want it in my world. And I don't want Tracy to feel like she has to go approve something else. So I'm just canceling it. But it really is simple. I know, and again, this is why I said in the beginning, it'll make so much more sense once you actually have a transaction to go do, Leanne, wouldn't you say? Like once you force yourself to go do
I
it.
didn't know, and like I asked Carla, I was like, well, what do I do for this? Because I had an opt city leave, and I was like, where do I put this? Like,
Yep.
And so she was like, don't worry about that, because there wasn't even an option. And she was like, just put it in the notes. And so the only issue that I had was the application. But on that note, the person I was sending the application to was not very tech savvy.
Okay.
So I don't know if it was a user error
Right.
or if it was truly wrong, because I opened it back up and then all the fields were there. And I tried to type in them and it said only buyer can fill out.
Yeah,
So
it should default
I
to,
think it was just a user error on that individual's end, but.
Was it lease or?
a lease app. So they had to fill out the app.
Yeah, because I've had a couple
hard.
leases and so I've had to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's really easy. You just go in there and click add to, the section that it's in for the documents that they need. I saw the email, but I didn't really know what it was. And then
Bless you.
where the little eyes are, where I guess where all the documents go, that I had uploaded a document in there and I was like, that's not the right spot. So I just uploaded it again under the other one. I didn't know you can move it from.
You lost me on the eyes for the eyes.
Like the documents
Over
where it says
here.
view document, and you said we don't look at these unless it's under the.
Oh, yeah.
Carlin, I have a question
I'm not on
about
that page.
the receipted page and the seller's disclosure if you have a new build, since it's
So you're not
required.
gonna have a seller's disclosure.
Right. So
So
what do
you'll
you-
say, you'll just go in like here, well, I picked right there, new build not required.
Okay, so if you just type that,
Yep,
then that
that's a message
satisfies
to
that.
Tracy or me to explain whatever. And
Okay.
receipted page, so a lot of times your contract that's executed is one document and then title sends a receipted page later. So if you don't have it all in one file, then I need the two separate pieces, but you can say see contract. And then we'll go look at the contract.
Got it. Mhm.
Yep, and on new build, you won't have a receipt. So you'll just say new
Okay.
build.
And the wire fraud
Yeah.
warning, that's not something I've given to my people before. Is that something I?
Those
need
are
to-
required.
Okay, that's-
Wire fraud and general notice. Oh,
So-
I'm not gonna go back in because I don't want to create.
Yeah, I've given them the general notice. Is the wire fraud, is that something that should be done at first meeting along with the general notice and IDS, or does it matter when that's done?
I would do it early on only because we need to scare the crap out of them about wire fraud. So it's a really good conversation to be like, hey, while we're at signing our buyer rep, I'm going to tell you right now about wire fraud and how bad it is, and you're going to sign this and be done. Or you can do it at the time of the offer, but just make sure you're really having that conversation before they have to go wire their money to title for the option fee and the earnest money.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
What was the three? There's Texas Realtors, A4.
Texas Trek.
Trek.
Yep.
That's one of them. Trek.
This really does seem a lot easier. I was pulling from Track, from TXR, or from TAR, from ABOR for all the forms, and it was just beginning to like just blow my mind. So this seems a lot
Yeah, no, this will be so much easier. And especially once you guys create your own templates. So you can create yourself a buyer template and like put all your information on the buyer side of the contract. And then create a listing agreement template and put all your information in there. You know, it really does make it easier.
Yeah.
Um,
So what are all of them we're gonna create? Buyer, listing, seller, lease?
well, seller and listing are the same thing. So it'd be buyer, lease listing, and listing, like those are the 4 templates we have as a company.
Buyer, listing, lease listing.
And
the fourth
lease.
one is lease.
Yep. So if you ever need, like, if you're ever in here and you need more documents, as long as you're connected to all those associations, then you can search by all libraries. Like sometimes agents will be like, it'll only have one library selected and they'll say, I can't find the sewage notice. Well, that's because you don't have all libraries. You've got a filter on there, right? So as long as you get rid of your filter, now type sewage. Let me type it. Well, I say that now it's not finding it for me. Let's try there it is. Oh, sewer. Well, if you search by the right word, it'll come up. There you go. When you go, yep, that's what I want. And so you don't download or print, you just add it and then it'll be in your transaction.
What do we do with expired transactions that are still showing on Skyslope?
So once it's closed, if it has the CD in there, then Tracy will close it out. She'll do them in batches, like usually by the end of the month. We have to get paid on it. So we have to receive our fee and then the final CD has to be in there and then she can close it. She usually does them like every 2 weeks. So by the next month, it should be gone. If it's not, you could always ask her about it, but give her a little time. She was out over the holidays, so she's kind of backlogged on those right now.
Yeah, this was just a referral transaction.
Yeah, she'll close it out in the next once we get paid on it's the key. So once we
Okay.
get paid, she knows she can close it out and then she'll do them in bulk usually.
Speaking of referral transaction, so you said that it's buyers and then leasing is under listing. So is there another form, like a separate transaction that can be created for referrals only?
Yeah, so if you go in, let me go back to Skyslope and you do create a transaction. When you go to the checklist, Carrie, you're making noises. That's okay. Right there is the referral checklist.
Okay, I see it.
Yep. So you'll just select that for the referral.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? All right, I'm gonna let you all go. Ooh, I just broke the nail. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.